Hi, I'm Louise from The Whole Dog.
And I'm Louise from Wandering with Dogs. Being pulled by your on-lead dog has got to be one of the biggest sources of frustration when training. This episode is the first in a series where we discuss why you need to think about more than just equipment and training techniques to get the dog walk you want.
We certainly had fun recording it, and we hope you enjoy it. Hello! Today we are going to talk about loose lead walking. What's that face for?
It's got to be one of the hardest nuts to crack, I think, when it comes to dog training.
Yeah, definitely. It is a source of frustration for many humans and many dogs.
Yeah.
Many.
And there are a lot of different moving parts to it. So
There
it's
is.
not just a case of the training techniques. It's I think you need to look at the bigger picture. So today we're going to start to look at that bigger picture.
Yes. This is definitely bigger picture thinking, this one. It seems like such an easy skill, doesn't it? Like, you bring a dog into your life, you whack a lead on them, you take them places, and they don't pull you to the places. But it's
But
not as
you and
simple
I
as that.
know, no, there's a lot of things going on that you perhaps can't see.
Yeah. And in the moment, like a lot of things, sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees, you can't see things in that bigger picture thinking, because when you're being dragged down the street by your dog day in, day out, it's crap. It's not fun for anybody at
And
all.
it's not what the majority of people got a dog for.
No, it's not, because you want to go out, you want to take them places, you want them to enjoy the world and, explore it. We don't bring them home to not take them anywhere, but it's a big one. So we might need to break this one down. I think
We are
that's the
definitely breaking
plan.
this one down. This is
Yeah.
yes.
Otherwise, you all might check out and it's like, oh my God, they're still going. But we thought we'd start off with some of the important things. And I think when I used to do my loose lead walking class, I used to do a specific class called Walk with Your Dog, not Walk the Dog. For me, I felt like with in that title was very important. I like to name classes. It's one of my things. If you know me well enough, it can be an easy thing for me, or sometimes a subject of frustration until I get the right name. But that one always stood out to me because it's walking together. You're walking with each other. Like the phrase walking the dog kind of upsets me a bit now because I don't want to walk the dog. I want to take my dog out. I want to go somewhere with my dog.
Yeah.
But I used to ask people, what does loose lead walking mean to you? Like, what does a loose lead walk actually look like? Sorry, my dog's been a cretin. 1 second. Let's not do that. But like,
So
what does that look like?
what sort
It
of
looks different
responses
for
did you
everybody.
get?
Oh, you put me on the spot now. I think a lot of it came from human side in the sense of they didn't want to be hurt, they didn't want to be pulled over, they didn't want sore shoulders and arms, they didn't want to feel frustrated or overwhelmed. But then there was a lot of considerations of the dog side too. Like, I want my dog to enjoy their walk. They don't look like they're enjoying their walk. They're panting, they're pulling, they're straining on the leads. Like, looking at my dog, I don't feel like they're having a good time either. I think it's one of those moments that you really see that disconnection between human and dog because it's quite apparent. Like, we stare at people in car when we're in the car who are walking their dogs. We look at everything. We just do it by habit. Like, we're driving up to the unit or we're going to class somewhere or whatever. And you see people and the dog's just toddling along, like gazing up at them, and we're like, reward your dog, like that's so lovely. And then you see people that are just getting dragged down the street and you're just like, oh mate, you're not, neither of you are having a good time. So it's
No,
quite apparent
that's
like
not.
where people are on their journey with that skill, because it's part of everyday life.
So if you're an owner with a dog who is pulling you every which way on your walk, it's really easy then, isn't it, to go, I need something to stop this.
Yeah, if that is your life every day, you want to find a solution to that problem for you and your dog. You know, as I said, the dog's probably not enjoying that either as much as a human, but in a different way. So reaching for a solution, it's one of the things that you see a lot, I think, on Facebook groups, isn't it? In particular,
Yeah.
is
The
loose lead
yeah,
frustrations and worries and concerns.
yeah. And more often than not, it's what harness do I need?
Mm-hmm.
What lead do I need? And then, of course, as we've discussed before, how many different suggestions do you get to that
Oh
question?
wow. Yeah, many, many, many. And there's no exact right or wrong way to teach it. I suppose like there's ways that are kinder than others. It depends on your perspective, I suppose, a little bit,
Very
doesn't
much
it?
so.
Um, but I think where loose lead walking, like we were saying at the beginning, like it's definitely a bigger picture thinking thing than just put a lead on a dog and go for a walk. That's the way I used to view it. Like I'd just put a lead on my dogs or a harness on my dogs, or at some points worse than that, and go out the door. But there's so much to consider that we don't think about that can make a massive difference all round.
So, just as a little side note, just to give you a kind of a window into the things that might be going on, I'm walking Ember at the minute for 10 minutes at a time because she's had surgery. We've done the same walk umpteen times.
Mm.
It's not always the same walk though. I don't have the same dog on the end of the lead. It's the same harness, it's the same lead, it's the
Mm-hmm.
same walk. So that
Mm-hmm.
the state of mind that she's in is just one of those considerations, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I think we were speaking about that earlier, about how
Mm,
your
yeah.
husband joined you and it was totally
Yeah.
different.
Different dog. She was you could see her just being a little bit her excitement levels were just a little bit raised and she was
Yeah.
just a bit like giddy. So yeah, that was just a little segue into one of the things that need to be considered, I think.
Yeah.
We'll go more into that in future episodes though.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that I've learned a lot about loose lead walking is I don't ask my dogs to do it very often.
Mm, yeah.
I actually don't, and I know that doesn't work for everyone, that's just my perspective.
Mm,
We very rarely venture into towns or busy places. So really for me, street walking is quite minimal, although it does happen sometimes. I think a lot of it is looking at like what loose lead walking means to you. So say I was to walk Luna to the vets, which sometimes I do. When she was feeling more able to, I would walk her to her vet practice, which is about 45 minutes away. The majority of that time she'd be on a long lead. But when I got more into town, I did ask her for a loose lead because I needed her to be close to me. But that's only a tiny part of our life. Whereas we might have people that live on main roads or live in cities, live in towns, live in built up areas where they need their dog to be closer to them for safety, which is fully a valid reason to teach loose lead walking. But I
So
think
that there, what you've just been saying there, sparked a question in me of what is loose lead walking? What is
exactly,
your version of loose lead walking?
it's different for everybody, and that's what I
Mm,
learned so much with teaching the loose lead class and asking questions like, what does this mean to you? what does this look like to you? Because I used to get everyone to set out a little bit of a goal over that. I think it was like 8 weeks or 9 weeks we used to work together. And I would ask them to, first of all, before they set that goal, what do you want? What does this loosely look like? When do you need it? When are you going to ask your dog to do it? What sort of environment are they going to be asked to do that sort of thing in? Because teaching them to loose lead walk on a country road compared to a built up area like a city, it's going to be very different. So it's getting clear on like what do I actually need from this skill, because it's going to vary for everybody to some degree, although the skill is the same. The bigger picture is different for that person or that dog's life. So I think it's looking at like, yes, this is a skill, but what do I need it to bring to mine and my dog's life? So that's where I guess asking in Facebook groups and stuff isn't really constructive, because you're going to get feedback from someone whose life might be completely different from yours, who their needs are very different from your needs with your dog to keep you and your dog safe and happy. It's not a one size fits all situation, really.
No, it's not. And when you ask in those groups, the question that I see a lot is, how do I stop pulling? It's not phrased as, how do I teach my dog to walk nicely on a lead? It's, how do I stop pulling? And I think that when you focus on what you don't want, then you're not focused on what you do want.
Yeah, you're going to see much more of the negative of the situation if that's what you're honed in on. Definitely, I see that so much, and I see it in myself as well at times. You know, it's easy to get caught up in this sort of stuff. Like Blue, I have not worked on loose lead walking with him at all, and the reason being is he's still herding cars. I'm not going to get the loose lead walking that I want next to traffic, because we've not came out the other side of that fully yet. Much better, but loose lead walking, if I was trying to ask him to loose lead walk just now, I'm not going to get it. I would get so frustrated with him and with myself. But I think if I didn't know the things in my brain, walking Blue would be awful.
Yeah.
Genuinely awful.
Yeah, yes, because you've got a dog that you need to exercise, that you can't. You can't have the experience that you want to have with him.
No.
But that stems from not understanding the bigger picture.
Yeah. If I didn't realise that I needed to deal with this part first for him and help him through this bit first before I get the loose lead walking that I want, I would be so frustrated. I would be so frustrated. And to give you an idea on timescales, Blue's been here for what? A year and a half? Give or take?
Yeah, nearly, isn't it? Yeah.
Roughly. Maybe not quite as long as that, but and loose lead walking has not happened yet. But that's okay, because I know we'll get there when he's ready. But there's so many things that impact, and I think, like you're saying, if you look for the negatives, you'll see the negatives. And I think if I was viewing the journey with Blue through a loose lead walking lens, I would have felt like I failed.
Yeah, when in actual fact, the truth of the matter is that you're doing absolutely the right thing, because you're looking at what he needs.
Yeah.
You're not going. Yeah. Yes.
And don't get me wrong, it's made me a wee bit sad at times, because he's such a cool dog. He loves going places. He loves doing stuff. And I'm like, if only you could just walk on leads to get to the place. I know we would go so many places. For any of you watching, Blue has just joined the conversation. He says, "Are you talking about me?" Yes, I am. Oh my gosh, hi. But he doesn't know what it is that I want him to do. The loose lead walking is my want. That's a me thing. That's a human thing. He doesn't know that that's a road, or that's a pavement, that's a narrow pathway that I should be next to the person that I'm with. He has no idea what that even means. He can't rationalize that. I can't understand that.
No.
Um,
And if you were
that's
to do that, so if you were to try and teach him lead walking at this point,
Mhm.
perhaps if there was some cars, not even right beside him, but in the, not
Yep.
too far away from him, would he be able to focus on you? Would he be able to focus on what and do what you're asking him to do?
Now we can a bit, but I could not ask that for a prolonged period of time
Yeah, yeah,
at the moment. It's not where his learning stage is at. But like my human mind is like, I want to walk you to the beach. I can walk you to the beach. Like we could go to the beach every day if you would just walk past some cars. That's all I'm
and
asking
that's
you
a
to do.
really
It's really
simple.
not a lot.
No, it's a really simple concept, isn't it? Just to say, I just need to walk
Hmm.
you down the street, however far it is to the beach from where you are.
Yep.
But it's easy because you're not taking into account all of these different things that your dog needs.
Yeah. And I didn't before. Like if I think back to even when Luna was a puppy, I didn't view a walk the way I do now. I'm sure you're probably the same with Casper in comparison to Ember.
Yeah, very
I
much
didn't
so.
see it in the same way. You know, a walk is for both of us,
Mm.
I feel now. Like I structure my walk so that my dogs will maybe get a bit of sniffing time, a bit of learning time, a bit of play time. I very rarely just walk around the street.
Yeah,
There's like sections to my walking.
yeah,
And that's
we're
the way
very
I
much
like
the
to
same.
teach it to my students to just like look at it in a different light.
Mm.
Yes, they'll loosely do something that you want, and I can fully appreciate it. Like, although Blue's not a big dog, he's only about 17 kilograms. When he puts his full body weight against me, and I would say I'm relatively strong, although I don't look it. Um, it's sore, and I've had a gubbed knee the past year, and there's days that I've just felt human emotions because I'm like, this is hurting me.
Mm.
Like, this is sore. Like, can you just stop it, please, for a second? Because the way he pulls against my body, it puts pressure on my kneecap where the problem is. And it's definitely got me down on occasion,
Yeah,
for sure. It has, definitely.
but he's got he's got no concept of that, has he?
No, no. We can't sit down and have a conversation like, by the way, my knee hurts, and when you pull me like that, you're hurting me. I'd like to think if he could understand me, he would stop it. I don't know. Like, would you stop hurting my knee? Would you stop? Hey? I know you would because you're such a good boy, you would. Um, but I can't sit and have a conversation and say what you're doing is sore to me. And it's not
Mm.
comfortable to him either because we had him seen by a colleague who's a myofunction massage therapist for dogs. And he does have tension. He's got tension in his back, he's got tension in his neck, and that is him on a harness that fits well for him. You know, the equipment, we'll talk about equipment in a bit, but it's having an impact on him too. And it's easy to not see those little different parts of the situation and just view it as a frustration.
Yeah. So it's really
Because imagine
important,
if
isn't it?
Ember pulled you, it would hurt a bit because she's a big dog.
She, yeah,
Has Ember ever
and
pulled you?
she, yeah, yeah, she
Yeah,
has, yeah,
yeah.
because I mean,
I feel like she
um,
wouldn't.
no, and fairly recently, she was it last week? She was, again, going back to kind of arousal, excitement levels, it just kind of spiked,
Hmm.
and she just went into it. I just need to for a little bit. I
Yeah.
don't quite know what had happened exactly, but um, and yeah, we had some pulling going on, but I understood, something she'd just gone from walking nicely to
Hmm.
I can't do this, and I think that's my come from is that trying to understand what's going on for her. Why is she doing
Yeah.
that?
I have a question.
Go on.
What is walking nicely?
Is that what I've just said? See, I don't even know
Yeah.
what I've just said. Is that what
Yeah,
I've
you
just
did.
said?
Yeah, you
Oh,
said
right,
she
okay.
went from
Walking
walking
nicely.
nicely. What is
Yeah.
walking nicely?
So for
What is
me,
that?
so Ember's on a harness with a
Mhm.
2 meter lead at the minute because she can't have anything longer than that. And that's her not pulling
So does walking nicely mean
on a
she's not
loose
pulling
lead.
you?
She doesn't have to be particularly by my side,
Mhm.
although we do a lot of that and a lot of
Mhm.
rewarding by my side to help
Mhm.
with her heel work, which is something
Mhm.
completely different.
Yep.
So yeah, my idea of walking nicely is not having my arm suddenly do that.
Yep. That's fair. That's quite a valid. I'll let you off with that explanation. I was like, does she even know what she said? Like,
But no, I just say, I've
understand
just said
what you
just
said?
said the words, haven't I?
Because it goes back to that, like, what is this for you? That's my ear you're eating, Blue. Thank you so much. This dog. This dog. Sir. We're
Well,
gonna
going
sort
back to what you were
you
saying
walking out one day, won't we? Won't we? We'll
about
sort it
your
out.
classes and
Mhm.
what you called them,
Mhm.
walking with your dog. I
Yeah.
think that is the crucial point, isn't it?
Yeah.
You
'Cause
know,
it's, you know,
you as an owner aren't just walking, your dog isn't just walking, you're walking together.
yeah. I like to think of when I take my dogs out that we're doing something we all enjoy. Yes, sometimes it's a little bit more purposeful than others, like a little bit of exercise, like you get out, have a sniff, stretch your legs. But when I've definitely got that time, it's so much more than that, and I try and make time to make it so much more than just toddling about. Um,
Mm.
we'll go for walks that are referred to as a snuffari. I didn't make up that word, someone else did, and I love it because that's sole purpose of that walk is to sniff and to explore the world. There's um no expectations from me. They just get to take in the world and just enjoy their time out of the house with no pressure.
Mm.
Then I might go for what's called a training walk. So that will be broken up into little sections. So with Blue, I might do a little bit of loose lead walking practice at a spot that is at the kind of level that he's at just now.
Mm.
And then we'll maybe go and do some trick training. Then we'll maybe do some sniffing. Then we'll have a little bit of ball play. And then we'll maybe go and do another little bit of loose lead walking. So those walks have a lot more purpose to them. I have my treats ready. I've got any toys that I want to take with me. Got different lengths of leads. So they're very purposeful. And I think for the students that I work with a lot of car chasing colleagues. Yes, imagine, got one on my feet. But for any dog, any breed, spaniels like to have nose to the ground. They struggle to walk in a straight line because of their genetics. So looking at how to set that learning up in the outside world is important. When
Mm.
we do our training classes, when we're teaching loose lead walking at our first sort of level of classes, all we teach is the position. Stationary for
Mhm.
2 weeks. 2 weeks on position. Then we'll move on to a little bit of movement, showing some games on how to make that fun and exciting. Because the thing is with loose lead walking, and I say this and Kira says this all the time, teaching it's boring.
It is, isn't it?
It really is boring. Kira
Mm.
always pokes fun at me because when we do our follow-on classes, I get the recall and I get the fun and the excitement and the energy. I will let her have it one day. I'm just not ready to give it up yet. If you're listening, Kira, I will give you a shot. Not that she can't teach recall, I just really love it. So I resource guard it, it's mine. But if you look at the energy and the excitement of teaching a recall, loose lead walking is repetitive.
Mm.
It's pretty
Mm.
much the same thing over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
In different places, different environments, different distraction levels. It is literally just the same thing over and over again. It really is.
Because you
That's
need
why my
those,
little
the dog.
ADHD brain doesn't like it, because it's too repetitive for me.
Ah, right. That makes sense. Yeah.
However, I'm enjoying heel work. Why that's different, I don't know, because it's kind of the same things.
Is it?
Kind
Is that
of.
down? Is that down to the dog's energy levels?
Possibly, because heel work, I want Blue to have energy. I want him to bring energy to the situation like I am.
And when you're teaching a loose lead, you kind of want that calm, don't you?
Maybe Cam's not for me then.
Calm. No, I would
No,
definitely
not for
say that
me.
calm wasn't for you, no.
But that's the thing that I found when I was teaching the class. We did, I think, 3 or 4 weeks online with that class. And it was all building up position, rewarding by your side, teaching them where you want them to be. We call them reward zones. So a dog will naturally, because we reward them in front of us, if they want a little snack from us or are going to be rewarded, they'll naturally come in front of us, because that's usually where the reward placement is, where that treat goes. So teaching them that actually being beside our leg is just as rewarding. So I would get them, you go into the fridge and you get yourself a snack and you're like, I'll get a bit of cheese for the dog or whatever, pay the cheese tax. Bringing them around by your side before you reward them, just creating that muscle memory of this is a good place to be as well. And that's before adding in any equipment, before putting a lead on them. I think when we teach loose lead walking, the best way to teach it is at home and without a lead. Because it's just another thing to concentrate on. And I find, especially when, we're dog trainers, we view things in a different way. When we're looking at someone who's brought a dog home, maybe their first dog, or maybe it's a first dog for a while, or a dog that's just a little bit different from their last dog and how that learning journey went, giving them as little steps to follow in the beginning, the better. Like keeping it nice and slow and simple. I used to go to training classes with Meg, my Labrador, twice a week, and it was at a community centre. And it was ring craft, so we would basically spend 45 minutes just going round a circle. Need enough, couple of little positions, downstays, sit stays, all this sort of obedience stuff. And she would float around there beautifully. But as soon as we opened those community centre doors out onto the street, because the environment changed, and we'll talk about that in the next episode because it's a big one.
I think it's the biggest one.
Yeah. But then we look at this Labrador who 2 minutes ago was doing the thing beautifully, then she wasn't. But teaching it from very little steps, like just creating that placement before adding any piece of equipment. Because no matter what equipment you use, if the basic skills aren't built, you're still going to have frustration because the dog doesn't know what you want.
Yeah.
Doesn't know what you want.
Think about when you bring a dog home, and one of the first things I would put a large amount of money on the fact that the first thing you teach your dog is sit. And where you teach that dog that sit is in front of you. So they get reward after reward after reward for sitting in front of you. So they think sit happens right in front of you, looking back at you. So that just shows, and if you ask them to sit anywhere out and about, or in your garden or what have you, I'd put money on the fact that they would sit in front looking at you because of that history of rewards.
Luna definitely does.
Yeah, Casper does. I'd say that's probably Emba's preferred position, although she has had a lot of history of being rewarded in the sit at my side because we're working on heel work, but that's a different thing. So the same principle applies, isn't it? You need to get them into that position at the side and have repetition of being rewarded in that in that position.
Humans make it too big
Mm,
and they make it too complicated too quickly.
yes.
That's the biggest thing that I see. The biggest thing that I see. And I get it. Like, you want to walk from point A to point B without being pulled. And point A and B might not feel that far away from each other. Say it's the end of your street, that's not a very long street. But to your dog, that's massive. It's a
Yeah.
massive amount. To change the gait that they walk at, dogs naturally move in a trot. We're asking them to slow down. We're asking them to move at a pace that feels quite unnatural.
Mm.
We're asking them to move in a straight line, generally. If we watch our dogs off lead, they don't often walk in a straight line. They don't continuously walk at the same pace. They change paces, they stop, they sniff, they change direction. We've then put a piece of equipment that's stopping them from doing that for good reason. Of course, we want to keep them safe. But we've not really looked at all the things that we've just changed. Then we put the lead on and we're like, right, we're going to go do some loose lead walking. I'm going to walk to the end of my street. But the dog's not with you in that memo.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah.
They didn't get that memo. They're like, oh, there's a smell over there, or oh, I'll maybe walk a wee bit faster. Oh, I might move back way. There's a smell that I missed. So we like to make it really, really clear when our dogs are loose lead walking and when they're not. I don't know who developed this method, but it's one that I find really, really works. And it's to make a really very clear cue as to when loose lead walking is happening, and we need your focus and your attention and your connection. And when it's not, and you can just be a dog and we're really not that bothered what you do.
And you can just go out and go off and just do whatever it is that you want to do in that moment. Yeah, you
can stop and sniff that lamppost.
Yeah.
You can, you can dawdle, you can go a little bit faster, but that's kind of like my general walks. If I was to walk somewhere that was busy, I need your attention, I need you close to me. I need to know that we're connected together in some way in this moment. Because dogs are very contextual creatures. If we look at like our service dogs, they get a particular harness on when they're doing a job, or guide dogs, all that rest of it. If we can create really clear cues about what we want, then it makes it easier for everybody. Everybody, in my opinion.
And how do you do that then?
So how we do that is we have a harness with 2 points of contact. So we've got a D-ring on the back and a D-ring on the front. We encourage people to get a double-ended lead, so whether that's like the Halti training leads or a longer double-ended lead. When your dog is in work mode, which is our loose lead walking mode, the lead gets clipped onto the front part of the harness. When the dog is in leisure mode, be a dog, do what you want, we switch that connection back to the back clip. And as long as we're nice and consistent with that, we're loose lead walking, now we're not, we're loose lead walking, now we're not, then they start to understand what's been asked of them and when. Because that's, for me, the thing I think that dogs and humans find most difficult, is that separation between when a dog should be loose lead walking and when they're not. I don't ask my dogs to loose lead walk all the time because I don't want them to, personally. As long as I'm not being pulled, do what you want. But there is times that I'm like, I need you to pay attention to me because this is busy, or I need you, in a bit closer from distractions or people or whatever. But being really clear in what's been asked of reduces a world of frustration. The hard part comes in with the consistency. Definitely.
That was my next point.
Yeah, you need to be consistent. It's one of the biggest issues all round. And I am not judging here. I am also really bad at being consistent sometimes.
It's so hard, isn't it? To think,
it's just another thing to think about.
Yeah. So if you're going from loose lead walking training and having that clip on the front chest,
yep,
to just kind of wanting to switch off for a minute, or you've seen a friend, you want to stand and have a
Yeah.
chat, you need to move that clip,
Yeah, you do.
and that's
Otherwise,
really
it just
hard.
becomes meaningless. It just
Yeah.
becomes the
Yeah.
clip somewhere else.
Mm.
The lovely thing that we've seen with this is when the humans are consistent, it's like a switch in the dog's demeanor. They're like, all right, we're working now. Like you can see
Mm.
the change in their demeanor, their emotion, their focus really shifts.
Yeah.
You
It's
can
that clarity
see when
thing,
it's
isn't
not
it?
being consistently done either. So there's two sides to that. We can see quite quickly whether you've done it or not. But
It's that
it
clarity
really does
piece.
help.
Dogs
Mm,
need that clarity.
yeah, they do. Like we were saying, like they don't know what a loose lead walk is. They don't know when they should be doing it. We need to support them with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's our
If we want,
job.
yeah, if we want to take our dogs out into the big wide world and do all manner of different walks with them,
Mhm.
they're not born knowing what to do.
No.
It's down to us to teach them.
I mean, you don't see dogs in the wild floating about with a nice perfect fit harnesses on, do you? Don't see it. Because they don't need it. But we do need it. And we do need,
Mm.
I don't like the word control, but we do need an element of control in the world with our dogs.
So on that point,
No, dear.
I don't see it as
Serious.
control. I see
No.
it as safety,
Yes. Yeah, that's a better word. That's a
because I
better word.
think control conjures up all sorts of different
Yeah.
things for different
Yeah.
people.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. It's a very
you
emotive
know,
word.
having my dog on a harness and a lead is about keeping her and him safe.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Safe and able to enjoy the nice delights of the world
mm.
safely.
And on that front about harnesses, because
Hmm.
we both use harnesses for both
We
of
do.
our dogs. What would you say to the phrase harnesses make your dogs pull?
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that. They don't. They don't.
So what I think,
I can
so
understand what's behind it. I can understand
yes,
where it comes from.
yeah, yeah.
100%.
So harnesses were designed for sled dogs
Yes.
to make it easier for them or more comfortable for them to pull.
Yeah.
Because it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not as restrictive as some other pieces of equipment might
No.
be.
No. And
But
also, it's covering a wider area of their body so they can put into it. Think of like Shire
yeah,
horses, Clydesdales that used to plough fields. They have the big, don't actually know what they're called.
said
The
the
big
horsey woman.
equipment. I know, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't drive. I don't drive horses, so I'm
Right,
not that
okay.
clued up.
I'll let you off.
So thank you.
But
But
I
it's
think that
designed to.
phrase in itself, harnesses make your dogs pull. I don't know whether I'm just interpreting this really, really anally, but to me that means the very fact of putting a harness on your dog is going to then mean that they're going to pull. That's not the
Mhm.
case.
No. Any piece of equipment can cause your dog to pull. I have seen dogs in no pull harnesses pulling. I've seen dogs in head collars pulling. I've seen dogs in choke chains pulling. The equipment's not the answer.
I think in some cases it helps, doesn't it, to
Hmm.
manage
Yep.
the pulling. If it's a choice between that and your dog not going out for a
Hmm.
walk,
Yeah.
there's got to be some balance there, hasn't there?
There's an older lady that I work with a big dog. I don't love head collars. There's ones that I dislike more than others. But she's a small lady. This is a really big dog. She cannot hold on to this dog if she decides that she's going. She's not reactive in any way. She's just a big bouncy, lovable rogue. But there's a safety concern there. You know,
Mm,
they are working on loose lead walking. They are doing all of our little exercises. They're doing the work mode, the leisure mode, but we still have real life walks at the moment.
mm.
And to keep it, especially over the winter there, it was really slippery and wet. I would love to have this dog off its head collar, and she would love that too. She doesn't love it. The dog drags its face on the ground, paws at its face. It's not loving it. She's not loving it. But we're kind of meeting in the middle for now until we're further along that learning journey. And it's definitely looking at an individual situation and not making judgments on a piece of equipment. You know, it's understanding what those pieces of equipment are designed to do, what's under your dog's body, where is the pressure of those pieces of equipment going, what impact could they have. And I think it's really educating yourself on the implications of all equipment. Like, I've seen dogs in our favourite harnesses, which are Perfect Fit and T-Touch, that have rubbed all the way under their armpits. That's not nice either. And that's what we would say is a well-fitting, you know, anatomically decent harness, and it still hurt that dog. So it's very, very individual, I would say.
Yeah,
but
I would agree with
we're
that.
not wanting to rely on the equipment to stop the dog pulling, no matter what that equipment is. Because there's so much out there, and like the Facebook groups, like you say a lot, like they'll ask for a harness recommendation, and you'll have people that say, oh, harnesses cause dogs to pull. Then you'll get people that recommend harnesses like Perfect Fit, Julius Canine, all the rest of it. And just to name a couple of brands, but understanding those pieces of equipment for what they are, a piece of equipment. Like, what is that going to bring to the bigger picture for my dog?
Yeah. Yes.
There's a dog that we work with, and she's changed from a cross-shoulder harness type. I don't want to mention names in case I get myself in trouble. To a Perfect Fit harness. And she said in our little group the other day, I don't know if I'm imagining it, but Sky has been much happier since I switched the harness. She's walking better, she seems happier. And the way I always look at it, it's like a bra or a pair of shoes. Like, if that's not feeling nice to you, you're not going to give your best. Like, if you've got a pair of shoes that's like rubbing you, it's all you can think about, because it's absolutely niggling at you and annoying you. For the ladies out there, you put on that bra that might look lovely, but as soon as it touches your body, you're like, this is painful. You're aware of it all the time.
And it impacts you. It impacts how you're feeling, doesn't it? And I think a lot of pulling on lead or trying to get loose lead walking, how the dog is feeling is paramount.
Let's take Blue, for example. If he's in the collie hole trying to herd cars, that is not the time for me to ask for loose lead walking right now. Or if we've got a young dog that loves other dogs or humans, starting that learning journey in a park full of dogs and humans isn't the place to start.
No.
We don't start when it's difficult, because it's not going to work for anybody. Because if those emotions are sky high, like you said earlier, your husband came on a walk with Ember and she was just like, wow, this is great. Would you have chosen that moment to teach her something?
No.
She was being a giddy kipper.
She was being a giddy kipper. And so in that moment, we went back to just focus on me, reward. Focus on me, reward. And we kind of just brought the energy down a little bit.
I think we've got a lot more to touch on this, so I think like other episodes are definitely going to be needed. But just another thought that's come into my mind. Do you know where I think loose lead walking goes wrong?
Ooh, go on.
Guess. You want to guess? Where does the frustration and the setting up to fail start? Would you like me to give you a clue?
Yeah.
At the front door.
Oh, yes.
Or the hallway, or wherever the leads and harnesses and things are kept.
I thought you were going with an age of dog point of view, not a physical where it actually goes wrong.
Okay, I maybe should have been a bit more specific. I know you've got a menopausal brain. No. I'll be kind.
Yeah.
You'll get me back one day, so may as well
Yeah,
dish
too
it
right.
out. But before we've even left the house,
Yeah.
it's already going wrong.
Yeah. If
before
your
the door's even
dog's,
opened.
if your dog is up here, taking a step out the door is not going to make them come down here.
No.
It's going to make
No.
them go further up. And that's, you're going into that unable to think, unable to focus kind of state, which is, we've said it before about setting yourself and your dog up to succeed.
Yes.
That's not doing that, is it?
No. Another thing as well, like, is this the only time of the day that your dog has something fun to do?
Oh, that's a good thought.
Have they literally waited all day for that door to open and not done anything else? Because if you think about it, like, I watched a TV show on Netflix, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like the Prison Experiment or something. And it was this prison in America, so they're pretty serious criminals, locked up 23 hours a day, out for an hour. So within that hour, all their frustration, all their angers, all their maybe arguments that had blown over from like the 24 hours before, all this energy just built up and built up and built up. And then there was fights, there was, lots of drug taking, whatever else they were doing to try and relieve all those feelings in that 1 hour. So they did this little experiment where the doors were completely open. Completely open. Really fascinating to watch from a behavioural perspective. I won't ruin it for anyone that's not seen it. But the difference in lots of areas that these guys were struggling with, I know they've done bad things in their life, but to watch that built up energy and then them actually start to create a community was fascinating. But if we think about it from our dog's perspective, say they get 1 hour out of the house and they don't do anything else in their day, really, aside from putting about and maybe, a wee bit here and there, of course that hour's going to be explosive. Because they've not had anywhere to put that energy. That mental energy, that physical energy. And then the door opens and they're like, oh, I'm free. I'm out. There's all this stuff. So it's another part, like, to kind of take into consideration, like, are they having their needs met more than just that walk, that 1 hour or whatever?
Yeah. What else is going on for them in their daily lives?
I don't know if you've seen a difference with Ember, because obviously your walks were really long and you guys used to go a lot of places together and do lots of things together. And that's been impacted by her having to go for a little operation. Do you see a difference in her when you leave the house just now?
You see, I was thinking about that when you were talking about that. If that's their 1 hour, so we are currently doing 10-minute walks 4 or 5 times a day, and thinking about those energy levels. Her energy levels are kind of down here because we've had to keep her as calm as possible. But going back to needs met, so she has a big snuffle mat. I feel that a few times a day. I do a lot of sitting with her and just stroking her and kind of massaging her, which I think helps with her just being able to be calm and relaxed. So I haven't seen a massive rise in her arousal, stroke, excitement levels. But is it because of all the other things that we're doing throughout the day?
Yeah. I think loose lead walking is very connected to the rest of their lives. And obviously environmental impacts, which we can touch on in the next episode. But it is a boring skill to teach, but you can make it fun. You absolutely can, and you can make it clear, and you can teach even a weaving working cocker to walk in a straight line.
You might be at it for a while, but
yeah, definitely. We'll talk about maybe breed specific considerations in the next one as well, because there is a genetic component that's going to bring something to the table in terms of.
And I think that's another thing that's often overlooked, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the time where that comparison thing comes in, well, well, that dog can walk nicely, why can't mine? But that's a topic for another day. So if you have listened to this, watched this, and you have got your own loose lead walking questions, please pop them in the comments, and we will be happy.
Some questions.
To discuss.
It is one of those skills that definitely causes frustration all round. It's probably the biggest thing, that and recall, that we get asked for help with.
Yeah.
Out of everything. Pretty certain if I did a poll through all my messages and help requests over the years, I think loose lead walking would be very, very, very high up that ladder for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's an everyday frustration. If you're taking your dog out even once a day, you know what's coming. You start to dread it before you open the door. Dog sky high, and you know what's coming next.
And
having lived with it with Blue, as I say, if I didn't see it through the lens that I see it through right now, I'd be raging. I really would be. I'd be so frustrated.
Yeah. Because it would be impacting your life massively.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely has for the last year in particular. But yeah, we'll take any questions that come to your mind.
So we will wrap this episode up now with and leave you with a question of, what does loose lead walking, or walking nicely, as I phrased it, look like for you and your dog?
Yeah, I'd definitely love to know. And we'll be back next Monday. No, following Monday. We'll be back on a Monday, whatever Monday that may be. It's getting to that time of the day. With the next episode, and explore things a bit more. There might even be a third one on this.
I think
who
possibly,
knows? Depends on the questions we get, and thoughts that we get. There's definitely more to pick apart and explore. But I enjoyed that, friend.
Yeah, me too.
Smashing. Well, I shall speak later.
See you later.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Pondering About Dogs. Tune in next Monday for a brand new episode. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out.